Welcome everybody to our third Lunch and Learn of the year. We are pleased to have with us Camron Brown and Jabari Ash, co-founders of Acumen Media. They're going to talk to you about raising capital, particularly in the time of COVID. So I'm real pleased to have it. We worked with Camron for some time, and it's exciting to see the growth in this company. And I'm looking forward to hearing his presentation. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Camron and Jabari.
Thank you guys for the time. Thank you for the time. As Warren said, my name is Camron. I also participated in bootcamp. Definitely credit bootcamp a lot to the success and just kind of pointing me to where to go. I'll let Jabari introduce himself.
How you guys doing? My name is Jabari Ash. I'm a co-founder, vice president of Acumen Media, and it's been an adventure getting started.
It definitely has been an adventure. It's been a lot of fun. It's Acumen Media, but we're thinking about dropping dropping the media. So let us know what you guys think about it. We might do that. But yeah, just get started overall and show you guys about some of the things that we've had to deal with and some of the things that we found to be important with raising capital overall. Specifically through COVID, here's some of the key takeaways, what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about having a strong team. Obviously making sure your pitch deck is on point. And if you're in bootcamp, I know Warren and Miriam have mentioned that to you and are giving a lot of tips and resources as well. And then also making sure your financials are in order. A lot of times investors are going to rip that apart anyway, especially if you're pre-revenue. But at least knowing how to explain it is something, that we found is very important. I know for a while we couldn't fully communicate that part and it held us back. So yeah. You want to add anything to any of that, Jabari?
Fine.
So we're going to start off by telling you about Acumen, about who we are, and then we'll go a bit more about kind of ways that we can help you guys or any information share with you guys. So we're a sports entertainment platform that allows fans to consume content while also allowing athletes to have complete control over that brand. So Acumen allows the user to fully engage with one another. And what we give the athlete the ability to do, and that's the ability to directly monetize their brand, their content, etc. So a good example of, two companies about what we're thinking about Acumen is a mixture of LinkedIn because of the engagement we plan on giving fans, the ranking and tier system that we plan on adding to fans' user experience as well. And then like a masterclass on OnlyFans, and that's because of the direct monetization that we're giving to our influencers and athletes that use the platform. Barry, you want to add anything?
So, bro, you hitting all cylinders.
Okay. So a little bit more detail, things we're going to offer the athlete. We're going to offer an athlete a direct line to grow their brand and monetize their fans, predictable and sustainable revenue. And they'll own the relationship of their audience without having to worry about trolls or outside parties, taking profit. So, and then the fan's going to be able to pull back the curtain completely to see into the lives of their favorite athletes. So we're talking lifestyle content, we're talking content of them playing video games, training, etc. The things that they do on a day-to-day basis. And then the fan also will get to enjoy these relationships in an engaged community. When you're talking about sports, you're talking about something that has to do with engagement. You're talking about wanting to be in a community and interact with one another. So again, they'll get the same type of experience in a troll-free environment. And then lastly, fans will be able to show their athletes how much they care by, obviously subscribing to the athlete specifically, but they'll also have the ability to receive merch, like jersey giveaways, different T-shirts of their favorite athletes. As you can see here, we have a couple screenshots from our prototype. After this, we would love to give you guys a link or share a link with you guys to sign up for our beta. We've been able to get about 400 pre-users in less than a week, so we're excited about that traction. But yeah, that's a little bit about Acumen. Do you guys have any questions so far? Anybody? Want to add anything, Bart? Anything I missed?
No, I'm going to go on the next slide, the team slide.
Perfect. I'll let Jabari lead with the team slide.
And so for the team slide, I feel like this slide represents me a lot because, for instance, I'm sort of a shy person. I don't really like to be in the spotlight or talk a lot, and it's kind of hard to do that if you want to run a business. And so the first thing we see here is investors invest in you. And so basically what I took away from that is I have to allow people to get to know you in ways that you wouldn't usually allow that. You have to be open and be truthful and honest. Give yourself flowers. So for instance, I kind of like to give myself flowers, kind of hard on myself, but but in this process, I've had to come out of my shell and, give myself props for things I've accomplished so far, and also allows me to have the confidence when I get on the phone with the investors to have that confidence to talk about Acumen and have that backing and show them that they can believe in me to run this company. So that's the biggest thing to take away from the team. Industry strengths. Make sure your team has different people in the industry where, different people have different strengths. Some people are good at some things, others aren't. Personal strengths as well. Experience will be key. And then also the main thing is a we and not an I. So you just gotta make sure you guys work as a team and get things done accordingly.
100%. Jabari's completely right. When you're pre-revenue specifically, they're obviously going to want to hear your idea, and it's going to have to make sense. You're going to have to be able to back up what you believe. But the thing that they're going to really look at is, do I trust this person with my money and to start, the company that they want to start? So one of the first things we realize is when we're pitching or we're presenting somebody about Acumen, we have to allow them to know who we are. Because, just think about if you were about to ask somebody for $500,000, $1 million, however much, and they didn't know who you were, or they didn't feel like they knew you, how hard it would be to actually get them to give you some money or however much you need. So, and then, he hit on the other points as well. Perfect. Just making sure that your team is well-rounded, whatever industry you're in, making sure there's strengths that obviously that looks better when presenting to a VC, angel, or even, family, if you're trying to go the family route to raise capital. It just looks better to have people that are strong in the industry and that are proven. So yeah, and then lastly, again, we is extremely important. When working on a startup, this isn't the first startup I've worked on. In the past, Jabari and I both have experienced troubles working with people who didn't get the bigger picture. And as long as everyone on the team, understands what you're trying to build, where you're trying to go, and understands that this can't run just with one person, then you're fine. Then that's a big challenge that a lot of startups face. A lot of people don't realize it's hard to. When you're talking about a lot of money, it's hard to do that. So. Any questions so far? Keep going if not. Heading for the end. Okay. Let me leave this off. Okay.
Yeah.
So pitch deck. This is extremely, extremely important. I've heard mixed things actually from advice on decks, and I've heard you'll never get your deck right. You'll always be updating it to the point where you don't need to pitch anymore. Just because, as anyone in startups or as a founder, I'm sure you guys are aware that things are constantly changing. But the three things that I feel you need to know, what I've had to experience personally with presenting, the things you need to know is, you need to know your problem, be able to present your problem and the story. If you can't tell what the problem is and people can understand you, Warren can attest to this. Sometimes I have a very hard time actually getting across what our solution is or what our problem is. And I understand it. It's just hard for me to get someone outside of sports to understand it sometimes. But so being able to fully, explain that, or at least explain it enough for someone to get the picture is important. Your solution as well, knowing your solution, that's the same exact thing. As you see here, I put for the problem, why should I care? After you tell them why they should care about your idea, or your company, or the problem that in your industry, you have to be able to tell them how you're the right person to fix it and what that solution is the right solution. So it ties a lot into the team. Why you? Why would I give you money? You want to add anything, Barry?
Nah, man, you're hitting all cylinders right now. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so again, how is your solution the answer? What can you accomplish? What can you do or what can your solution do to make this not a problem anymore, or just kind of bridge the gap between the problem and the potential consumer? And lastly, you know, I think it's really important to make sure that you emphasize on your market in your deck as well. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into creating a pitch deck, but being able to explain who your customer is and how you're going to reach them, that's how the money's going to be brought in, right? We didn't do financials because obviously financials is going to be a completely different slide. That's important for the deck as well. But how the money is going to be brought in is going to be the user base and how your user base is going to actually get on your platform or buy your clothes or whatever you're selling, whatever your problem is. Those are going to be kind of the main important things going forward. Any questions so far? Statements, anything anybody's realized? I want this to be conversational, so. No? Cool. And this is something else that's obviously extremely important. This looks like it messed up a little bit on the side, but just knowing your financials is extremely important. For a long time, we had ideas for revenue, but we didn't completely understand how we were going to actually bring revenue into the company. We knew we had an idea, we thought it was a good idea, and we had a direction where to go, but knowing your revenue. So for us, it's very simple. We are a direct to consumer in a one-to-one model for you to purchase content, and we also have a subscription model. So that's just two options for a consumer. We obviously we're gonna allow ads on the free version of our platform as well. So those are the few of the ways that we're going to make money. Jabari, want to add anything?
Not fine, bro.
So another question that's going to be asked by investors is, what are you going to do with the money? And that ties back into your last slide with your market and just understanding where you're going to put the money. Again, for us, a lot of our initial capital is going to go towards our platform and then marketing. Those are two of the most important things for us. Now, obviously, there are other things that we have to focus on as well, but we know for sure that you have to be able to elaborate to an investor what you're going to do with the money. 95% of the time, they're going to rip your financials in half anyway, especially if you're pre-revenue. You might have projections and they might be based off of similar companies in your industry, but you're not bringing any revenue in. So everything you're telling them is assumptions. But being able to, elaborate on those assumptions and give good reasoning on why you believe this is, your total revenue in year one, how many customers you can reach in year one are going to set you apart from other founders. We actually have a venture capitalist on our team actually now. We just added him, and some of the insight that he gives us, constantly is basically being able to speak what's in our head or what we're telling him, like in so many words, being able to put that in so many words. And he emphasizes on the financials. He's like, hey, you guys are going to have to be able to elaborate on this, or at least answer questions on this when it comes, because you guys as a team, I believe in you guys. We think it's great idea. You guys are the people to do it, but now you have to get someone who has a couple $100,000 on the line to agree with you, or to understand how they're going to see a return. So. And then lastly, again, we promised to give you guys an opportunity to sign up for our beta. So we wanted to share this with you guys. Any questions? And that's just a walkthrough on how to actually go on our website, request to be an MVP user, and you'll get monthly updates on the release of our MVP, as well as any major updates with the company as well. I talk really fast, my bad, guys. Hope that you guys learned something, and I definitely am interested to hear any questions that you guys have.
Cameron, how did you and Jabari meet? How'd y'all connect?
Yeah, you want to tell Jabari when me tell it?
I could tell it. So me and Cam had mutual friends. I had a family member that played at the University of Kentucky, and he had mutual friends there as well. And me and Cam got connected through a friend of a friend. So it's kind of confusing in a way, but we got connected, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's it's funny how it worked out. You know what I mean? Meeting via someone else, but it flows. You know, the energy flows really well. We've been able to move, you know, really steadily. And, once we got together, so yeah, it's really dope. It's really dope. Really organic.
What has been the biggest challenge so far?
We are, I know Barry probably has something else in mind, but I know for me, we are 4 African-American founders. And before right now, you know, it's very popular right now and people are investing in the Black, investing in the minorities. But before then, I saw that as a challenge. I saw that as an obstacle, an extra obstacle to overturn. And then also obviously understanding and being able to elaborate, you know, about the company and explain to someone what's going on in my head. But it's really, it's been tough, you know, being 4 African-American founders with not as much experience as one would need. And so that's my biggest challenge so far. Jabari?
I would say our biggest challenge would probably be just making sure our deck and things are in order, because as far as product and service wise, we have everything ordered, and relationship with the company, we have great relationships. So I would say the hardest thing for us has been really to make sure we're able to get our idea across in the correct way to, as Cam said earlier, as somebody who's not in the sports world could understand.
100%. If you guys have any questions about ways we can help with your companies too, we open them. No biggie. Down there, people. I was in a lot of your guys' steps.
Cameron, can you talk a little more about the platform? Give us an example like you've given before so people understand exactly, you know, the personal touch it has for the fan and the players.
Perfect. So let's say that you are a general user. When you use, let's say Warren's a general user. When Warren logs on to Acumen's platform, he'll have the ability to interact with, you know, other fans in a general social field. He'll also have the ability to upload content himself and eventually be able to profit off of that content in the future. The value proposition comes in, and that's where we put the LinkedIn part. The value proposition comes in when you talk about, let's say, an athlete like a guy like Cole Anthony, who's in college right now, is going to be a draft pick next year, who has 700,000 followers coming out of college. Let's say Cole wants to give you insight on what his draft process looks like, and he wants to charge people to view the insight on his draft life. You as a user, Warren, you'll be able to purchase direct content from Cole on the platform. So we're allowing you to directly engage with your favorite athlete. Cole will have the opportunity to send merch to those that subscribe to him and give you a little bit more incentive to stay. And if you're a sports fan, I'm sure you're familiar with what we're doing and what we're trying to do here and understand. But again, have to be able to explain it so for anyone that's not a sport fan can understand as well. To answer your question, Jabari, you want to touch on it? No?
All right.
We have a question in the text box.
Okay.
From Crystal. She wants to know, how did you connect with your 400 plus beta users, and how are you finding your potential customers?
Yeah. So we just reached, for our 400 plus beta users, we posted on our social a few days ago, but even before then, we were just directly reaching out to people. We haven't launched a hard marketing yet, but you know, for our beta users, we just reached out to people directly, you know, let them know kind of what we were doing, and asked if they'd be interested. We've also added 2, maybe 3 brand ambassadors now who are college basketball players. So they have a little bit of a following themselves, and also can, you know, present to athletes as well and talk to the athletes about, you know, coming on the platform.
So it's more like just activating your social network?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Question, Crystal?
Huh?
What was the second question?
Oh, just basically, how are you finding people? You know, how did you find your 400 plus beta users, but also what's your plan moving forward for getting yourselves out there?
Yeah, so we're gonna hire brand ambassadors. As I just mentioned, we've hired a few, we brought a few on. We're gonna bring brand ambassadors. We're going to obviously activate our social media, as you mentioned, but we're gonna create teasers with different athletes and allow them to post it on their different platforms to basically create excitement for what we're building. On the athlete front, we believe it's gonna be a trickle-down effect. So we're gonna allow a few athletes to come on as partners of the company, and allow them to share with other athletes, the excitement for what we're trying to do. And then their fan base is our user base as well. And then we're going to use the 100 fans approach when thinking about how many users each athlete needs to actually bring in revenue. Which basically saying, it was an article that was written, but basically it says that a general person would need 100 people to pay them $1,000 each to make sustainable revenue from a social platform like ours.
Sorry, can you say that last part one more time?
It's saying a general person that's creating content, informative content, content that's sharing. Basically, we need 100 true fans to make sustainable revenue. So we focused a lot on the 100 true fans of a specific athlete and what that fan would look like. So we know we're going to target, if we're talking about an NBA player, we're going to target high school people, high school kids, college kids, obviously the general fan, and the agent and stuff like that, people that would want to get an insight on their training habits, stuff like that.
I see. And so that's when you talk about getting your brand ambassadors, I assume you have to have some, is this just an agreement, or do you have to compensate them in some way? And if you have to you know what I'm saying, compensate them in a particular way, how are you getting that kind of upstart money?
Yeah, so when you're talking about our brand ambassadors, they're college athletes. So our agreement isn't in actual pay. It's, hey, when this platform takes off, you'll have an opportunity, if you're not going to make it to the next level, to come on board, work for a sports startup. A, B, if you are making it to the next level and you're a big player, we're going to pay you then. They understand the space. So we're targeting people who kind of understand what we're doing and the potential of the company to be our brand ambassadors, which is different. I know a lot of time when you hire brand ambassadors, you have to offer them some type of compensation, but it's a different type of compensation for us. And then Barry can talk about maybe some of the bigger level brand ambassadors, which are professional athletes. We're gonna give them equity, and we're gonna max that out at 3 to 5 athletes that are professional level and have a large following.
That makes great sense. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I think you wowed the crowd.
That's how we're gonna take it.
Thank you all both for sharing your story and sharing your insight. That's very valuable for other entrepreneurs. It's good to have you all on for Lunch and Learn, and we wish you the best in your endeavors. And stay tuned, right?
Right, stay tuned. Thanks, Warren. Again, if you guys are interested in learning more about Acumen, you can sign up for our beta. We will be sending monthly updates, about two times a month, basically updating on what the company has going on, any new athletes that we bring on board, investor updates, as well as when we plan on releasing the MVP, so you guys can test out the platform for us and get us some real metrics instead of assumptions.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Warren.